Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidum Majid. Syukur kita kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana pada hari ini kita dapat berjumpa lagi untuk kesekian kalinya. Saya ingat dah setahun dah. Dah setahun dah saya di sini dan saya ingat dia akan bersambung sehingga beberapa tahun lagi lah, insya-Allah. Selagi kita masih diberikan nyawa dan juga selagi ada keupayaan untuk bersambung atau untuk berkongsi lah. Suka untuk saya katakan saya suka berkongsi, maknanya bukan saya mengajar ataupun memberi mempunyai keilmuan yang lebih daripada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan lah. Maknanya kita berkongsi sebab kemungkinan depan saya ni ada yang lebih arif lagi. Jadi kalau ada yang lebih arif tu tolong bantu jugalah untuk berikan sedikit pemahaman ataupun perkongsian. Kita mempelajari sejarah. Bagi siapa yang mungkin kali pertama dengan saya ataupun tidak pernah dalam pengalaman hidupnya suka pada sejarah, kan? Contohnya lah, kot yang ketawa tu mungkin macam tu. Kalau terjadi perkara tu dia tak ada menjadi masalah kerana sebelum ini kita didedahkan tentang sejarah tu satu perkara yang agak membosankan sebab perlu exam oriented. Jadi kita nak kena hafal tarikh, nama orang dan sebagainya. Tapi saya cuba membawakan bahawa sejarah ni bukan satu subjek. Dia adalah satu yang embedded with our life. Tanpa sejarah we are nothing today. Jadi sejarah penyebab terjadinya apa yang terjadi hari ini. Cuma malang bila kita membaca buku sejarah, kita membaca seperti mana sejarah tu pada waktu itu saja. Kita tak kaitkan dengan apa terjadi pada hari ini. Sebab tu kita rasa macam apa seronoknya baca sejarah. Jadi sekarang kuliah saya berkenaan dengan tamadun Islam ni adalah kuliah yang membawa kepada how we look the world in the bird's eye view. Kita nak tengok kerangka besar dunia ni, apa terjadi di timur dan barat saling berkait. Kita tak boleh kata apa yang terjadi pada tanah Melayu contohnya hari ini adalah kerana sejarah tanah Melayu saja, tak ada. Dia ada berkait dengan sejarah dunia. Sejarah dunia yang begitu panjang. Jadi kalau bercerita tentang sejarah dalam keilmuan Islam ini banyak membincang tentang sirah. Jadi saya tak sentuh tentang sirah sebab sirah ni dah ramai ustaz-ustaz duk sentuh kan. Jadi saya pergi kepada selepas zaman khilafah, maknanya selepas Umar, Uthman, Ali pun saya tak sentuh sangat, sedikit saja. Selepas daripada itu sampai ke sekarang ni, yang itu yang saya sentuh. Jadi yang itu lebih dekat dengan kita dan juga yang sebelum itu dah banyak ada sumber lain kita boleh tengok. Dan hari ini tajuk kita untuk siri berkenaan dengan sejarah tamadun Islam di Andalus atau Spanyol. Ini yang kelima lah. Jadi berakhirlah Andalus. Kita sudah berada di penghujungnya. Bagaimana Andalus pernah menjadi kemuncak, mencapai kemuncak yang cukup hebat sehingga dia menjadi umpama hari ini apa kita panggil, mungkin New York lah, ataupun Amerika dalam zaman sekarang. Zaman itu semua berkiblatkan kepada Andalus. Barat pun waktu itu masih bertelagah antara mereka dan kemudiannya barulah kembali orang kata ataupun berubahnya tamadun itu, kehebatannya beralih kepada tamadun Kristian Barat lah. Tapi menarik nanti kita tengok kenapa dalam sejarah tak dipanggil tamadun Kristian, dipanggil tamadun Barat. Yang berkait dengan agama hanya tamadun Islam. Itu menarik. Okey. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, brother. I will try to speak in both languages, but yeah, you can still understand in Malay, some of the Malay terms, yeah? Because I'm afraid of using English terms, because English term is very exact word need to be used, you know, because the interpretation will be much different. But forgive me for that weakness. Dan insyaAllah hari ini we are going to talk about the end of Andalus and the start or the beginning of the colonization. Yeah. Jadi setelah Granada melemah, the end of Andalus will be the Granada civilization or the Islamic empire of Granada. And then what happened next, we will see from the images that we have.
How do you find colonization?
Kita akan tengok lepas ni. We will have the colonization itself by themselves. They don't say colonization, kan? Mula-mulanya to explore for the trade, for the reason of trade, which is actually being mentioned by themselves also for the 3G purposes that they call for glory, for God, means the spread of Christian ideology, and also the other G is gold. Gold. So this is the picture apa nama ni found in one church portraying the Muslim Granada in 1501 being forced to be a Christian, to be Christians. So this is the picture that I took from internet, and the other one, the similar situation happened, and historically in 1504, when the Mufti of Oran in Morocco, in Maghribi, Ahmad ibn Abi Jum'a, he issued a fatwa saying that those Muslims in Spain who've been forced to become Christians, they are allowed to stay in Spain while being Muslim in secret. So they can just say that they are now Christian, but they can still practice secretly as a Muslim, because that's the restriction that happened there in Spain in 1504. And these people, these Muslims, are called Moriscos. This Muslim with the image of seems to be Christian, but they are actually still Muslim. They are called Moriscos. Those who are Muslim, pure Muslim in history, they call Moors, M-O-O-R, Moors. Yeah. So if you read any book that using Moors in Philippines, for example, and even in the history of Malay Peninsula, they are writing showing that they found Moors in Malay Peninsula. They call Moors not because they are from Spain, but because they know that Moors is Muslim. So when it happened that this is the first interaction with locals that are Muslim, they call it Moors. So the Moors. So those who embrace Christian with a M-O Moriscos, M-O-R-I-S-C-O-S, Moriscos.
They're actually ex-Moors who converted to Christianity, but still Muslim secretly.
Yes.
Secretly.
Secretly. Moriscos, Moors.
Yang bangunan juga ada sama, so macam bangunan KTM yang Kuantan, Moors design kan?
Moorish, they call Moorish. Moorish design, but actually it is mixed with Mughal, Moorish, and another one, if I'm not mistaken, three civilization. But it was built by the British engineer.
So they were in India.
They were in India, yes.
Moskow tu ambil sini ya?
Most tu tak pasti. Itu lain kot. Itu lain. Tu ejaan dia pun lain ya? Okay. So in gradually the culture of the Muslim Arabs, or we call it the European Muslim those days in Andalus become like diminished from time to time because of this forcefully the force being made by the Spanish Emperor, untuk menyebabkan satu demi satu the attire of Muslim hilang, the name of Arabs, the cultural activity of Muslims no more there, and this become like from time to time people become oppressed, the Muslim become oppressed, and
What's happening in Xinjiang now? Tapi pakai nama Islam. Juga tak boleh. Okay, India
so the cycle of this history is just keep repeating. The trend is there. When you know, when you look at this trend, and then what is happening now is quite similar. The way how they treat the people, the Muslims, and it happened. We need to realize that actually when we see at what happened in Palestine, in Xinjiang, in Syria, in Rohingya states, all of this very closely related to the history before that. So if we do not understand the history, we could easily make our own judgment, which is, for me, is unfair or unjust. Yeah, because the history itself is mix of not only the religious issue but also political. So that's why we need to know more on the history. And for this topic, when we see about when we know what happened to Muslim in Andalus, they've been forced to become Christian, and they still try to follow for quite some time. And in 1568 to 1570s, they become like feel so much oppressed, even though they have showed that they try to follow the government to become the so-called Christian, but they're still being biased towards this Moriscos. They are not getting the same or equal right as those Christians. And it happened that in 1609 to 1614, this is the drawing to show that Moriscos being diusir, Moriscos being kicked out from Spain, and this is the picture showing that all these refugees, we call it refugees lah, these Moriscos refugees came to northern Africa at the port of Oran, and it started with one suggestion by Saint Juan de Ribera, the Viceroy of Valencia. He gave a proposal to King Philip III in 1602, saying that the population of Muslims are getting bigger and larger, as compared to their population, Christian population. So they feel like even though they are now becoming Christians, they don't really trust that these Moriscos are the true Christians. So they asked for King Philip to do something which is very drastic, so that we can keep our government or the state being under control. So in 1609, start the apa dia panggil dalam bahasa Inggeris panggil pengusiran, expulsion, the expulsion of the Moriscos. So until 1614, and this is the kitab being written by one Moriscos, Ahmad Ibn Qasim Al-Hajari. He was one of those being expelled from Spain, and he wrote down the experience that he had, which is now in our hand. We are trying to translate this
It was written in Arabic.
in Arabic.
Tahu apa ni? 1620, peti.
Ada tulis tak tahun dia? Saya tak ingat. Tapi around 16 plus lah. 16 plus, because the last is around 1614. Dah banyak tahun dah. So in this kitab, it is stated the order being made by King Philip III to Governor of Valencia to first eradicate or expel this Moriscos. And the data said that Muslim population increased in Valencia only in about 30% per year.
Ini from the time of 1492 until that time.
No, 16 within 1609. 1609.
The 30% increase.
Yeah.
From the time when Christian took over in
Yes.
1492.
Yeah.
So between 1492 until 1609, 30% increase in
No, 30% per year.
per year.
Within a year.
That too was for how many centuries now? 15th century? 16th, 17th century, yeah.
17th century.
Yeah.
So for Christian, 1/3 of them or 1/4 of them, most of them do not live single. They don't marry. So they feel like, oh, this is a challenge now. The population is not increasing for Christians, and the Muslims are increasing. So and many of them are armies, went to Indies and then they got killed. So their population become less. So these the maps of expulsion from cities. Yeah. So it started with 1609 from Valencia. So they just expel them wherever that they can go. So either you go out of Spain or we kill you. Yeah. They already converted. They become they are Moriscos. Yeah? Moriscos.
So that means at this point in time, only Moriscos' rights were spared, but the people who refused to convert or...
Yeah, they already been killed earlier. Yeah, killed earlier or they fled away.
Kena peta ni, dia Cordoba tu.
Dah waktu ni dah habis dah.
Oh, dah habis dah?
Dah habis dah. Cordoba semua dah jadi
Malaysia.
kerajaan Kristian. Dan ni semua kerajaan Kristian semua. Cuma ada population Muslim yang Moriscos ni. Only the Moriscos population is there. Sampat in Malaga, sampat there Navarra. So they were all expelled out.
Oh, itu dia ni.
Okay, that's this. I don't really explain how they've been expelled, whatever. But I want us to have like greater worldview of what is happening there, because later the decline of Muslim Andalus, the decline of the Muslim power in Spain became the beginning of the colonization. So before that, I love to show you about the civilization itself. When we see that all other civilization is based on the locality or geography. It's called East Asian, Southeast Asian, Asian civilization, Western civilization. But why Islamic civilization? This part we call almost some would say 2/3 of the world being the Islamic civilization, and the others are like don't have any relation to religion, because yang lain tak ada kan, tak berkait dengan agama. Yang berkait dengan agama hanya Islamic civilization saja, dan memang being even the historian also saying about the Islamic civilization or Muslim civilization, or very few saying Muhammadan civilization. But this is because Islam, when the Islamic civilization rose, they attached to one caliphate, to one caliphate. It is not necessary to be where the geography is not important, because in fact when the Islamic civilization expands up to our Southeast Asian civilization, when we embrace Islam, and even India, South Asian civilization, when they embrace Islam, they are all giving their what do you call it, bai'ah or wala, to bai'ah to the Islamic Caliphate, until the Ottoman collapsed. Then only we became like our own, separately as our what we call as the nation state. Yeah, and the nation being defined by these colonials. They make they mark the sempadan. They even coincide. Pico and sides. Yes. So many of them. In fact, what is happening in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India now is because of the British being dividing those Muslims so that they are not in the greater population.
But you can always mention the British. What about the other colonials?
Yeah, because the earlier colonials, what we call it, lesson learned from the other colonials that came earlier. British is quite later, and British have witnessed that when you go with your enemy by force, ataupun kita wage war against them, most of the time you will lose. So the British is very intelligent.
Powerful.
They negotiate, and they give some rights to you. At the same time, they leave something that we are still living with up until now. Even though we are Malaysian already 63 years independence, but actually beneath the system we are still under the British. Okay. Yes.
Just I shared my personal opinion. I think Russia cannot consider under the same civilization.
Russia.
Russia and the country belong to Russia is, if we need to use Quran verse explanation, we can say Western civilization, Roman. Russia civilization is Byzantine. Byzant. Roman Byzant, Allah mentioned in Quran, وَعُرَثَ بَيْنَهُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. That they will inherit, they hate each other until judgment day. And this is the basic point in Islamic politics. That they know that Russia and Western will never meet. So they do the ultimate policy that sometime here to here and sometime here. So I suggest to separate Russia and alliance with other countries, because historically they never met till now. Orthodox cannot consider Catholic as Christian. Also Christian cannot consider the Orthodox as Christian. So it's completely different.
And we should put it as what?
As Byzantine.
Byzantine civilization.
Because, things reallocate from Constantine to Moscow.
Okay, thank you for that info. I will check. Actually, this is taken from internet, so later I need to make myself the map.
They never met, and Allah gave us first. They will never meet.
Okay. Thank you for that.
What verse is that?
وأورث بينهم العداوة والبغضاء إلى يوم القيامة.
Yeah.
Allah inherit them there.
Which verse or which surah? Which one?
I will give you this one. But I know the verse because under political وأورث بينهم العداوة والبغضاء إلى يوم القيامة.
Okay.
Russia and Islam.
Later you will let us know the verse and I can write this. Okay, thank you. So the same goes to how the history of science and civilization being taught to us, saying that these are the dark ages, without saying that during these dark ages was the Muslim civilization that was in the peak, and later suddenly they become they got Renaissance, and it happened that they actually learned from this Islamic civilization. I usually say this, that there's no such thing about copying other civilization and or even having clash of civilization. I'm of the view is that the civilization is an evolution. So from one civilization to another civilization, they learn from the one that became like that was great before them, and then they then became greater than that. So when it comes to the Western civilization, they said the Renaissance happened in 16, and before that they're in dark ages. So it is seems irrational to say that out of sudden they become like a great civilization. So this is the things that even in schools we are not taught, yeah, and we are taught to know about Renaissance, everything, but we are not taught about this Muslim civilization for almost 1,000 years. And this is the Byzantine empire that we have, I think I've touched upon sebelum ni, but we will touch more later when we discuss about the origin of the Turkey people, yeah, the Turkey people, and how the Byzantine Empire falls under the power of Ottoman, and before that the Seljuk, and before that also there are almost 16 dynasties of Turkey, the Turkic dynasties that have become very powerful in this Central Asia up until Europe later. Okay. Okay, inilah 3 peristiwa penting yang menjadi pemula kepada the colonization. The beginning of the colonization just since the pembukaan Al-Andalus, the Christians and the Franks, all these Western so-called kingdoms, they are not in agreement or in disagreement with this Muslim civilization or Muslim power in Andalus. Since then, up until the collapse of Andalus or even the Cordoba, Granada, they kept on memusuhi umat Islam lah, ataupun apa yang terjadi, kekuatan umat Islam itu. Kedua, the second occasion, which is very important also, when Sabtah in the North Africa being captured by Portuguese. So dia mulakan dengan menawan Sabtah dulu, satu bandar, Ceuta, dalam bahasa Inggeris Ceuta. Ini pemula kepada perjalanan mereka cuba menjelajah, and then at the same time during the fall of Andalus, now Constantinople is going to be captured, or we can say being being opened by the Muslim civilization from the Ottoman. So this is 3 occasion, very important 3 occasion that demarks the beginning of the colonization, or they call it the age of discovery. touch about this. Ini sekadar saya nak tunjuk saja namanya semua. Okey, dan ini adalah tempat yang namanya Sabtah tadi. Kalau tuan-tuan nampak Sabtah, ini Sabtah di sini.
Oh, in Morocco.
In Morocco.
Under Spain.
Until now under Spain. Under Spain. Sekarang dah jadi under Spain. And Tangier is left side. Ada left side. Nanti kita akan tengok
But until now it's under Spain.
Yeah, up until now, until under Spain. So since the opening of the Al-Andalus up until the fall of it, they are called Reconquista. So they keep trying to get back their land. But this has been discussed by our Sheikh Muhammad, saying that it's not Reconquista, it's only Conquista, because they never had that land because they were quarreling during between Christians, and even most of the Muslims there during the Andalus reign or the Islamic reign was those who converted to Islam or reverted to Islam. So all this way they keep trying to get back this their power in Andalus. And at the same time, what happened to Anatolia, you know Anatolia yang sekarang ni kalau kita sebut Turki Timur, Turki Timur, Anatolia.
Before you move on, yang Crusade War during which time?
Ini ya, 1054. This is the Great Schism. Christian themselves became separated into the Christian West and also the East, the Catholic and also the Orthodox. 1054. At the same time, when we became again separated among Muslim with this Taifah, and at the same time Seljuk is getting makin berkuasa di sebelah Anatolia. Seljuk adalah kerajaan just before Ottoman, di Seljuk. Seljuk is yang tadi kalau kita tengok tadi Seljuk kalau dapat this is the greatest empire of Seljuk, from Persia, Parsi sampai ke Anatolia di sini, Anatolia.
Anatolia tu
Di
Turki kan?
Turki Timur.
Apa kena-mena dengan Andalus?
Sekarang ni cerita dia dekat sini dekat dia. Then the Crusade wars are also happening there during this era 1095 until 1291. So if you can compare, kalau kita tengok keadaan dia, kalau kita tengok dekat map tu, kiranya dekat sebelah Andalus, sebelah kerajaan Islam Andalus, keadaan pun tengah kacau bilau. Dalam masa yang sama di sebelah timur, Seljuk sedang mula naik, dan mereka sendiri orang Kristian pun sedang berbalah antara satu sama lain. Dia ada Ortodok dan juga Katolik. Dan nanti kita akan dapat, mungkin saya sentuh sikit nanti, bagaimana the Catholics they are the one who wage war against Muslim to gain back Jerusalem. So dia lah pemula kepada perang salib, and then it happened that been joined by the Orthodox. Tapi dia macam kena tipu sikit, sebab dia ingat datang untuk bincang, tapi rupanya Orthodox. So the Great Schism happened in 1054, the Roman Catholics, and actually it happened much earlier. The first separation of West and East, 300 plus. Yeah. Yes. they call it the Nicene Creed. Dia punya syahadah dia. They have a different understanding on who is Isa, who is Jesus, whether he is the son begotten or he is also the God. So this interpretation become like argument among them, and then they separate East and West during the Roman Empire. Roman Empire. And then later on, this the greatest, they call it the Great Schism of 1054, when they have two system, which is from in Constantinople, the Patriarch of Constantinople, and another one, the Pope in Rome. And the Pope, they claim the papacy just because this is the seat, the first seat of the Pope. So dan later on, dia sepatutnya dekat sini ni Eastern Orthodox ni adalah Byzantine. Byzantine maknanya yang setelah Rome telah kalah, maksudnya hancur, tak ada lagi Rome, hanya tinggal Byzantine. Tetapi di sini bila Franks, Germans sokong kelompok Katolik di sini, dan kemudiannya dia claim sebagai Holy Roman Empire. So the Charlemagne yang pertama dalam sejarahnya diberikan apa nama, the crown by the Pope. So dia jadi tradisi sampai sekarang, tradisi untuk Christian Catholic. Dan ini the first division in around 3rd century. Waktu itu dia ada Diocletian, yang inilah Caesarnya, tapi dia lantik juga dia punya co-emperor Maximian. Kemudian dia ni pula ada pembantu yang merupakan dia dekat sini, Nicomedia. Lepas tu dia ada anaknya atau yang akan jadi pewaris, Galerius. Yang ini pula dia ada Constantius. Jadi pemula kepada sini dia jadi pergaduhan antara West and East lah, West and East. Then I think I'm not very good in explaining this, but this is the branches of Christian, what happened after the Great Schism. Dia berpecah kepada the Western and the Eastern. So sampai sekarang dia berpecah lagi kan. During the Renaissance and Reformation, there are so many branches too. And saya sendiri memang tak study habis lah soal ni, cuma apa yang kita dapat tengok, they are also divided among them. They are also divided among them, and that also became the reason of them being competing among each other when they within the age of discovery. Dia mula dengan nanti Sepanyol keluar, lepas tu Portugal pun nak keluar juga, and then no, maksudnya nak tunjuk who is much glorious than others. Like I said, at the same time, the Crusade wars are also happening during the unstable Muslim era in Spain. And Baitul Maqdis was first under Rome, kemudian Sasan, kemudian Rome, kemudian Islam di sinilah. Islam di bawah pemerintahan Umar, Muawiyah, kemudian Abbasiyah, Tuluniyah, Abbasiyah, Fatimiyah, Saljuk. Then Fatimiyah, then this the Crusade wars.
You add before Rome, Canaan.
Canaan.
Canaan before Rome.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the conflict between us and them. We said, if you need to go by history, Canaan 5,000 years ago. They said no, Rome before.
Oh, okay. So they
use it.
okay. They don't recognize the Canaan civilization.
Say, like, we are not civilized enough to sit there, and they come and build. But actually not like this. We
Yeah.
build better.
Yeah.
We build many things.
Yeah.
So before Rome, Canaan.
Ya, betul. Ya, okey. Ya,
So,
What is that?
Kanaan, Kanaan ni. Kanaan ni memang satu civilization. Kanaan boleh search lah.
Till now we maintain the cloth, the things from Canaan till now we practice.
Aha.
so dia jauh panjang ni.
Lama lah cerita dia. Before centuries, thousand before centuries, 5,000.
Because if you refer to Ma'idah verse 22, Allah said in Quran, إن فيها قوما جبارين
Mhm.
إنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها. That this Israel people, they stop here. You see Jerusalem, opposite to the river, they have one city called Ma'dah.
Mhm.
They stop there. Then they said to Moses, sorry, we don't enter until Canaan up.
Mhm. Di
And this is now history repeat. We need us out again.
di Al-Maidah verse
Ma'idah verse 22.
22.
إن فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا.
Mhm.
So Moses, alayhi salam, he passed away there. He never entered here.
Mhm. Okay.
Tengah pedih.
So the area or the study about Canaan, the older ancient civilization, honestly speaking, I'm not deeply know about this, and thank you for that. Yeah,
It's engaging.
yeah. You are in
I'm from here.
history.
No, you see Nablus? You see Nablus?
Yeah, Nablus.
This is my hometown.
Oh really? Subhanallah. Ah.
Huh? Hometown.
Ah.
I thought you from Dodi.
Yeah, but because we keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving.
Us and this way we cross the river.
Mm-mm. So one day we can ask him to give us more info about this. Eh? Because even the Crusade wars also we do not really understand how, because the writing, most of the writing that came to us are from the Westerns. Yeah, from them.
You see them have need to read it from other side from Arkan.
Yeah. So later I think we need to have one session about the Crusade wars. Inshallah.
This is Khalil, Hebrew.
Yeah.
This Hebrew. It's Ibrahim. Hebrew.
You know about this? They call it the map of TNO. 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 So this is the map found by Isidore of Sevilla, where they divide this to the population of the world from the Noah generation of Sam, Ham and Yafith. So sekarang kita susah nak tengok sebab map tu macam ni. So kalau kita tengok macam ni, dia akan jadi macam ni lah. So they said that this the Sam generation goes to east, the Yafith go to the western, and Ham to the Africa. So, jadi dia kata mereka mempercayai, they said the what do you call this, the middle.
This is the three sons of Noah.
Yeah, three sons of Noah. So the transecting point should be at the
Musa.
Baitul Maqdis, they say. So that is why one of the last 2 years, this embassy of America being recognized, they showed the recognize of the capital of Israel last 2 years, and then they at the same date of the Nakba, the 70 years of Nakba, the 70 years of, they said, the existence of Israel according to the calendar of Jewish. So it happened to be like this was the slide I prepared 2 years ago, and it was isu yang bising waktu tu. Jadi kita ceritakanlah antaranya even the Isidore of the Sevilla, they still have this kind of belief that the map, the 10 sect tu, yang point tu menunjukkan kat situ Jerusalem tu adalah tempat mereka yang mereka perlu dapatkan balik. So, the Christians. Dia sama-sama, because if I'm not mistaken, Baitul Maqdis, we can say there are a history of these three big religions, saying the Jews, the Christians, and also Muslims, and they are even among themselves they are quarreling, yeah. And for us, we don't have like I think what is happening in the Christian ideology, that they also need to erect the third temple, so that they need to be ready for the Imam Mahdi, the Messiah. Jadi yang itu saya pun tak apa nak mahir, jadi saya pun tak nak touch banyaklah tentang itu. Cuma yang saya nak cerita hari ini sebab when the collapse.
Just share one sentence from my perspective.
Okay.
Not from you.
Okay.
They consider controlling Jerusalem is sign of absolute control of the earth.
Of the earth. Oh.
So they can consider we are not able to control the earth if this space not for us. And for them it is challenging for Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because Allah said, I am one, and worship only me. They see themselves bigger. And we can see in Quran many verses how they describe Allah Azza wa Jalla and how they describe themselves. So they consider it as sign they went against Allah. The controlling of Jerusalem.
Okay. So you mean there is the Christians or the Jewish, both of them?
Both.
Because Jewish and Christian is something day by day procedures. In the end, the religion for Allah is Islam. Because we have one religion. Christian, Jewish, this is procedure came by Moses and came by Isa to settle their own people in their city, not globalize.
Yeah.
Globalize the message from Adam to Ibrahim is one God. So they are not enough satisfied. It's not that way. Even during when Allah assigned Talut to become king of them, they said, "How he's very good." So always they are see themselves bigger than Allah and they need to choose and they refuse. But Allah said in the Quran, "La yus'al amma ya'mal wa hum yus'alun." Nobody question Allah, but they get to question. They refuse to be humble to Allah. So here the core of the conflict.
Yeah.
And here the step between Iman and Kufr.
Yeah.
But then, the Orthodox Jews, not just what I've listened is from the US, not from all the locals, they do not recognize Israel as Jews, as in the faith of Jews. They are Jewish people, but they're not Jews as in the creed. Because what they're doing is not the teachings of Judaism. They say these people are Chinese. So they're not Jews.
Yeah. What I understand from our brother saying, sebab bila Nabi Musa coming, so ini untuk, this is only for his kaum, for his kaum, and then Jesus for his kaum also, and then come Muhammad for all. So from here to here, they don't want to accept Jesus, and then they still saying that they are Jews because they are only with Moses but not Jesus.
Yeah, because what they said, Jesus refugee, his mother refugee. How to eat rich, how to lose.
Yeah. So they become reluctant. Again, when Allah gave messenger Muhammad, he said no. So they create their own. They are Christians, and in fact, even the name of Yahudi or Christian is not a religion itself, given the name by Allah. Only Islam. Yes. So this is the basic understanding of, they are not in line with what being taught or being ordered by Allah. So it origin from Allah, from the messenger, but then they deviated.
It's two statements. سمعنا وأطعنا أو سمعنا وعصينا. They choose to be Sami'na wa
Sami'na wa ata'na.
We choose to be Sami'na wa ata'na. This is the sunnah.
Maksudnya dia dengar, dia tahu, tapi dia tak nak ikut. Dia refuse. So,
This is the reason غير المغضوب عليهم.
ya. Memang dia ingkar. Jadi cerita tentang ingkar tu dalam Al-Quran pun cerita pasal Yahudi ingkar, apa Nasrani ingkar kan. Tapi itulah dia. Memang sampai sekarang dia jadi bertelagah hal yang itulah. Jadi yang kita tak masuk lagi kolonial ni. Jadi after the fall of the Granada, then later started Christopher Columbus journey. And 1492, when he asked for the journey, in fact, in the first time he said he want to explore the spice route from other way, not from this from west to east, but from the east way to India, to India. And at the same time, the trade being a bit restricted because of the Ottoman become powerful after the fall of after the capture of Constantinople, because the Silk Road become, they call it they said that it is close to the Europes. Yalah, selepas itulah. Sebab ini cerita dia panjang kan. So kalau kita tengok dari segi ini perbandingannya, jadi bila Andalus mula jatuh, Seljuk mula naik kan. Bila Seljuk mula naik, kemudian Seljuk terpecah menjadi ada Kesultanan Rom Seljuk, dan kemudiannya dia berakhir dengan Osmaniyah pula naik, tapi daripada Seljuk, daripada orang Turki jugalah, orang Turki. Granada masih ada, hidup balik Granada pada waktu ini kan. Tapi kemudiannya apabila kalahnya Granada, waktu itu Osmaniyah sudah mula naik kan, sudah mula.
So what happened between 1031 to the time of 1238?
Mana?
Bila Andalus kata dia macam berhenti at 1031.
Ini yang the Taifah. The small states.
Okay.
The small states. So the first exploration was made to Sabta just before Christopher Columbus, 1458. They went to Creta. The Portugal army, 45,000 of them, they came and they attacked Sabta, but there's nothing there. So they are what been written by their historians saying that they are exploring the minerals in Sabta. And then they found nothing. And they found nothing. Then only they went to Tangier or Tanja, and again they said there's nothing. But and then again they in 1471 they also go to Asila, and actually that's the reason they created, like they want to explore for the minerals. But during those days there was the Sultanate of Mariniyun, the Muslim Sultanate, and they attacked the Mariniyun. Jadi selepas 43 tahun barulah mereka dapat menjajah lah. Kita nak tengok at the same time what happened to the Christians during the timeline of the Andalus. Mereka juga berpecah dengan kuasa-kuasa mereka lah. Ada Galicia, ada Leon, and then Galicia they join Leon, kemudian Castilla pula wujud satu lagi kekuasaan, dan Castilla dan Leon juga dia bergabung dengan Leon. Kemudian kekuasaan Aragon pula naik, dan daripada Leon dan Castilla yang telah bergabung, maka mereka juga bergabung dengan Aragon. Waktu itu Portugal juga naik, bergabung dengan Aragon dengan perkahwinan Isabella and Ferdinand 1469 lah. Dan ini apa yang berlaku dekat kekuasaan mereka. Dan pada waktu itulah Isabella and Ferdinand wage war against Granada, the last fort of Muslim Empire. So kat sini yang dipanggil Perang Granada. Yang ini yang menyebabkan akhirnya khalifah yang terakhir Abu Abdullah Muhammad hand over the key to the Ferdinand, dan selepas daripada itu barulah Christopher Columbus datang. Dan kalau kita tengok dari segi map, the Kingdom of Leon, then they became bigger, Leon and Castilla, and then Portugal muncul, Castilla and Leon makin besar, dan ada lagi Aragon di tepi itu. Dan kita tengok Granada hanya tinggal ini saja, sebahagian ini saja. Dan kemudian daripada itu bermulalah pelayaran mereka yang tadi Sabtah here, and later they went to Yemen 1487 1488 oleh Alfonso ni. 1488 Bartholomew Diaz datang sampai ke Cape Town. Kemudian daripada sini Covilhã meneruskan perjalanan pergi ke Goa. Kemudian dia pergi pula ke Ethiopia, dan ini semua terjadi. Kemudian Vasco da Gama pula datang dan pergi sampai ke Goa. Jadi Portugal adalah yang pertama yang keluar pergi menjelajah ke kawasan lain yang atas alasan untuk explore the trade. That's the reason they said. But at the same time, what happened was that they try to enslave the Africans. They find slaves, dia bawa balik. Dan dan maka mereka pun membelahkan dunia ini bila Columbus found, they call that Columbus found the America. Jadi mereka pun memecahkan dunia kepada Old World and New World. So New World is the America that they just found. They say, that's what they claim. That's what they claim. So that's why now, even now, if we read the history books from the Western sources, they will use this Old World, New World. So this is what they meant. But actually, even in our Malay sources, there was one journey in, if I'm not mistaken, even before centuries, these Malay sailors has already been in America. So actually there are other sources that we need to refer to.
In Islamic Muslim Negara, they have document and have photo that mosque, they have one mosque before Christopher Columbus left. They have small 3-dimension explanation.
In Museum Negara.
Islamic art.
Oh, Islamic Art Museum.
Where is Hijrah TV? You can go there, you see the 3-dimension of the mosque and the date of the mosque and who first people enter
In America.
in America, and they will dismantle all Christopher Columbus period.
Ya.
Take care.
Ya. Okey, boleh tengok tu, nanti kita kena pergi tu.
Islamic art. No, Islamic art museum. Not Negara museum.
Islamic Museum.
I know.
Belakang masjid.
Apa ni tu yang dekat dengan masjid.
Dekat Masjid Negara.
Tu Al-Bukhari punya.
Bukhari punya.
You go second floor.
Second floor.
Second floor.
Where they have all the malls, the replica of the
One of
malls.
them is
Yeah. The first floor. First floor.
They have this attitude of claiming, this Western, the Spanish and even Portugal, and even they make a mark, the line, to claim which is yours and which is the others. So through this Tordesillas agreement, they separate the world into two portions. From here to here is the Spanish hemisphere, so you can go and explore. And for Portugal, this from that's why if we to our Malay archipelago, we have been colonized by Portuguese, for the Portuguese first, but not Philippines. Philippines being colonized by Spain. Sebab apa? Sebab sebenarnya dia dah claim, they made this claim, Iberian Colosseum claims, saying that this is our area and this is your area. But then Philippine Spanish claim dia pergi juga, dia lawan je, dia tak ikut juga demarcation ni. And the same happened to Brazil. They said to Spanish, tapi Portugal juga ambil. Dan
We can say this is the fifth map.
yeah.
The map, the fifth tether and do the map.
Yeah, they do the math by themselves. And dan dalam masa yang sama yang tadi saya kata, bila Constantinople dibuka, these western kingdoms, they claim that the trade route being closed by the Ottoman. That's why they need to go outside. This is their claim. That's why they need to explore through the
Because Ottoman imperial policy was these people should not give them space, because everywhere they go they will rob and they will mess. This is the reason they was very tough with them.
Jadi perkara itu memang laluan sutera itu dia berakhir dekat Turki. Dekat Turki, dekat Constantinople, dekat Antioch. Jadi untuk masuk ke western states, they need to pass Constantinople. Jadi dealing with Constantinople is not easy. They cannot deal with them, and the most ataupun yang paling dekat yang boleh adalah Venice. Venice have good friendship with Ottoman those days, but then Venice itself do not have good relationship with all other Western kingdoms.
Sekarang apa nama koloni ni?
Mana? Constantinople? Istanbul. Istanbul. Jadi inilah kalau kita kembali kepada Columbus. So Columbus claim that he found the America land. Tapi in fact there are so many writings even from the Western sources saying that Columbus is not claiming the land which is empty. It's already been habitat, ada habitat kat situ, ada orang dekat situ, dan the Red Indians, they call it the Red Indians because they thought they are already in India. So they say Indians, and at the same time they enslave them, they rob them, and they even kill them. So this been even recorded by the historian, their historian themselves. Dan perjalanan dia mengikut Christopher Columbus, bila dia pergi ke sana, sebenarnya dia sendiri tak ada ilmu tentang bagaimana pergi ke sana. Christopher Columbus actually he did not have any idea of how to sail the boat. So even the direction. So that's why they caught or they hired the Muslim sailors who've been forced to become Christian. They were from Marinid Empire. Just now that I've told you, the Marinid Empire. And it happened that in this book, Roger Bacon, this is the book written in 1266. Christopher Columbus referred to this book whereby this book said the way to America, which been first started by the Muslim sailors. So saying that from their own sources saying that the Muslim have already been in America in the first place. So sebab tu Columbus lepas itu dia tak boleh pergi sendiri, dia bawa dua orang pelayar barbar, sebab ni India dekat daripada Maghribi ni, daripada Marinid tadi. Jadi dia orang adalah orang barbar, nama dia daripada keturunan Sultan Abu Zayyan, dinasti Mariniun. Tapi dah dalam sejarah kalau kita baca, kita tak kenal lah, sebab dia punya pelayar tu dipanggil nama dia Martin Alonso Pinzon, dan juga Vicente Yanis Pinzon. So yang ni dua ni adalah because they went there with three ships. So two ships the sailors are Muslim, but they are Moriscos lah, dia dah berubah, dah jadi Christian. Dan satu lagi bawa Columbus. But all all the ini adalah the flag of Mariniun.
Macam flag Israel.
Yang itu pun panjang sejarah tu dari segi ikon tu. Sebab ikon tu dia macam shared among many civilization lah. Jadi termasuklah kalau dalam Quran pun ada Rubu' Al-Hizib tu pun dia bentuk macam tu. Sebab tu ada masjid pun nampak macam bentuk tu, orang kata Star of David. Tapi sebenarnya dia adalah sejarah yang banyak agama ada attached to the symbol lah. Tapi nak cerita the Columbus trip, there were 4 trips and all was not successful. Sebab he guaranteed to the King of Spain that he will bring back the gold, but there's nothing being back, and he even became cruel to the people there, yang mana dia akhirnya, yang ini kita tak tahu, banyak tak tahu. Columbus in his last journey he was captured under the order of the Spanish king, sebab dia tak tunaikan janji dia, jadi dia balik with the being captured lah daripada ni. Dan kekejaman Columbus ini ditulis oleh Bartolomé de las Casas ini, disebut dalam buku ni, in this book, A Short Account of the Destruction of the Indies. This is the record of what Christopher Columbus and the team have made to the locals. For example, ni disebut assaulted even the ships. Kemudian the butchered 3 millions of person. Dah ada dah. There are already people there. And then you see both large and fruitful places, but they said unpeopled and desolate. Sebab ada orang tapi dia dah bunuh lah, jadi kosong. Royal Garden of Spain is fruitful, okay, waste and uninhabited. Dia dah jadi yang asalnya memang Royal Garden, tapi lebih hebat daripada Royal Garden, tapi sekarang dah jadi apa? Tak ada, kosong. 500,000 men dwelt in it, being cut off, being slaughtered, ravished by force and violence. So these are the real record, even recorded by themselves, by the Western sources. And it happened that tahun berapa? 1527. This book was written in 16th century. And ironically, Christopher Columbus is the founder of America. They still saying that is the founder of America. So daripada situ penjajahan Portugis, inilah tempat yang dia jajah, termasuklah East Timor, Malacca, Malacca. Then came Spanyol, Spain dia pergi ke, kalau dekat tempat kita sampai ke Philippines. Then later baru datang Inggeris, British, Dutch, kemudian yang datang yang lain pun Perancis. Dan mereka ni semua datang pada asalnya itulah, dia bahagikan antara dua, Spain and Portugal, and later on because of their clashes among themselves in Europe, they even then extend their clashes to the exploration of the world. So sebab tu dia pun masuk kat tempat ni, dia masuk kat tempat tu, mana yang belum dijajah dia pergi lagi. Sebab tu Perancis dia hanya dapat, kalau dekat kawasan kita dia tak boleh dah masuk sebelah sini, sebab sini dah ada British. Dia pergi ke kawasan Vietnam. Jadi penjajahan itu bermula daripada kejatuhan Andalus tadi, dan kita dapat lihat bagaimana di Melaka 1509 Diogo Lopez de Sequeira, inilah di Sequeira, Kuih Lopez ni. Diogo Lopez de Sequeira was sent to Melaka, with the reason to explore the trade, like usual, but actually he is spying. Dia Portugis. So he was spying actually, and in 1510 the Sultan Mahmud the Sultanate of Malay, the Malay Sultanate, knowing that he is the spy, and then he want dia nak bunuh dia. He ordered for the killing of Di Alfonso, but Di Lopez de Esquerra. But then Di Lopez de Esquerra has already know about this order. He cepat-cepat he fled away to India, and he became the governor of India. And later he sent Alfonso de Albuquerque. Barulah lepas tu dia hantar Alfonso de Albuquerque to attack Malacca, and later Malacca being sacked by Portuguese and under control of Portuguese for 150 years. So Malacca being captured or being controlled by Portuguese for 150 years, later by Dutch, then Dutch 183 years, lama tu kan. And after in around 1824, because of Dutch and British having their own agreement, because there clash among them, and they agreed to hand over Malacca to British. So British colonized us for 118 years. Jadi kalau secara keseluruhan, in total we've been colonized for almost 400 years. 400 years. So Malaysia just got independent for 63 years. As
You're talking about the Portuguese, they were only in Malacca, they were not in other parts of the state, kan?
Yes, Kedah ada dia punya kekuasaan. But Melaka those days is not Melaka like Melaka now lah. So Melaka tu besar sampai ke Johor, sampai ke Pahang, sampai ke Perak. The map itself is not the same like Melaka today lah. So the Melaka itself is the Melaka Sultanate. Dia Kesultanan Melayu Melaka tu. Jadi
That's why I wouldn't say it's the whole of Malaya.
not whole lah, tapi sebab sebelah utara dia ada lagi Kedah very strong.
1,500 years.
Question about Malacca. We have, I see one documentary about, I even write his name here. His name Sultan Mansur Shah. That he get letter from Sultan Muhammad Fatih
Yeah,
requesting him to support him by 100 watt
yeah.
Yes.
to open Constantinople.
Yes.
So can later you give me any more detail about
Okay.
this communication?
Yeah.
Because they requesting 100 watt to go to Istanbul and he visited Istanbul.
Okay.
And he helped the Turkish to open Constantinople.
Yeah. I have the info about that. I'll communicate to you with later after this. So inilah yang kita belajar. Ini yang kita belajar Renaissance, Reformation, sebagainya ni kan. To connect with what happened to Andalus selepas kejatuhan, kemudian mereka dalam masa yang sama di Age of Discovery, they colonize others, but at the same time they said they are in the Renaissance period. So dekat Europe sendiri mereka sedang kata the civilization being built up, saying that they have become more modern in term of knowledge, they have become knowledgeable, whatever. Semua tu dia memanglah macam kita cakap tadi, dia belajar daripada tamadun sebelumnya kan, termasuklah tamadun Andalus. Tapi yang apa nama ni, di Age of Discovery, yang dia merosakkan tanah-tanah orang Islam, dia merampas khazanah semuanya ni, yang ini seperti didiamkan. Jadi kita nampak hanya pada Renaissance tu kan. Dan like I told you earlier about how good the relationship between Venice and Ottoman during those days. It happened that this picture, the portrait of Muhammad Al-Fatih is drawn by the portrait itself is drawn under the realism portrait, meaning that the painter betul-betul depan, just in front Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih, and this is drawn by Gentile Bellini from Venice. He was invited to the Ottoman Palace and to draw the face of to paint the face of Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih.
This white one,
The turban.
this one has kufin.
Sorry,
Kufin.
Kufin.
Sultan.
Ada when viral recently dia kata dia pakai jenis uban ni besar sebenarnya itu kain kafan.
Betul, betul. Kain kafan.
This all Sultan Khilafah, he cannot be Khilafah until he carries his kufin here.
Hmm.
And he never forget that he was done.
So banyak lagi ulama-ulama yang sufi, sufi sekarang pun banyak yang pakai kain
Because
kafan.
how this Ottomani go? This is the army Ottomani. In front of them they have two groups, intelligent and Darawish. Intelligent collect information, Darawish try to bring back. Then the army. This is how they drive all their work.
Ya. So dia dan memang lukisan ini the original painting is now in London. The original ada dekat London, dan yang ada gambar yang Doan tengok di National Gallery. National Gallery. Dan ini gambar just the copy which is portrait in top copper. Untuk copper Sama juga dengan gambar ini, when there are occasions they requested the Venice painters to come, dan dilukiskan lah. Dia want, jadi apa yang dia nampak itu yang dilukiskan. Maknanya ini umpama fotograf zaman itulah.
This bay'ah for Sultan Murad Awal.
Yang ini waktu bai'ah. Dia ada occasion yang memang penting, yang memang ada gambar-gambar dia. Dan ini adalah tradisi. The tradition was first practiced by the Mughal and even the Turkey, the Seljuk. They have this Persian influence of, they call it muraqqa. You know about this? Muraqqa. Muraqqa. This is they draw the occasion but not in realism. So just drawing for the sake of recording the for the documentation. But the drawing is not the drawing like realism. So
because this language, this all Turkish language, but written in Arabic word. It's not Persian language. This Turkish, because
Nakashani.
Turkish use like Jawa. Then after change them English. So this Turkish language.
Yeah, this is Turkish language. This is the tradition of them in 15th century and 16th. So they have Nakashani is a studio for drawing. So this is the place that they have their own artists, and then they they lukis. For example, this book lah. So the lukisan itu hanya untuk menceritakan. So just to explain what's happening. Documentation.
They call it Red Book.
Red
Red Book Archive.
Red Book
Archive.
Archive.
This room inherited from Byzantine time. They said that they continue archiving and put it them in language. To make sure the history not dismantled. Because British try to access to steal, they cannot enter. This is the reason Turkey can understand their history. They saved the archive.
And this archive are still in
Still in Istanbul.
Istanbul.
This, Red Book, and this have all secrets.
Okay.
Later, I will share with you the organization. Secret organization.
Okay. Jadi iktibar kita yang kita boleh ambil lah daripada perbincangan kita yang panjang ini, dari segi ilmu keduniaan ini, dia tidak menjadi masalah dari segi macam kita nak belajar daripada barat ke, kita nak belajar pada mana ke. Even Islam appreciate the knowledge of the Greeks, the knowledge of the Rome, but then they align it with Islamic teaching. Not saying that whatever come from Rome, from other than Muslim sources is apa nama, kita tak boleh terima lah, unacceptable. Actually it can be accepted, as long as it is aligned with our Islamic teaching. So that's happened, and even in the history, so many places of learning in Islamic cities, those non-Muslims can even join without any force for them to become Muslim. So that happened in Baghdad, in Istanbul, in Constantinople, in Granada, and in even Morocco, whatever. Kekuatan ekonomi membantu ketegangan sebuah negara, dan kita juga dapat lihat bagaimana the economy, the strength of economy of one state is much important too, not only in terms of knowledge, but the politicals, the stable politics, and also the economy, the strength. There is agak penting lah untuk menjadikan sebuah negara tu stabil lah. Dan kita dapat lihat the colonials, they just want to not only to ruin our, ataupun dipanggil, dia datang, dia akan mencari seperti tadilah goal untuk mendapatkan kekuasaan dari segi ekonomi, dan dalam masa sama dia dapat control the people. Most of the time they will enslave the locals.
This Iqtibar, they have some procedure for economy, especially for economy. They run the economy based on three principles: ability to produce, ability to sell freedom, and ability to distribute the wealth equally.
Okay.
So this is their principle in economy. This three principles.
That's good.
Local production,
Local production,
freedom trade,
freedom of trade,
and equal distribution of wealth.
of wealth.
Itu yang dipanggilkan ni borderless ekonomi.
No, what happened here?
Dari kita.
If you are able to be sufficient, self-sufficient, you are able to trade without any restriction. Because okay, you want to sell, okay, no one will define the price. Here it is. And equal distribution of wealth to make sure the stability inside the country.
Dan itulah yang terjadi bila politik kita kacau bilau dalam sejarah, bila distribution of wealth is not being distributed lah equally lah. Sebab dia kekayaan melambak dekat dia, jadi dia jadi seronok dengan kekayaan, apa ada orang susah kan. Kemudian bila when we don't have our local production, we become like the buyer, slave. Jadi kita ambil semua daripada barat, maksudnya kita dia panggil the consumer state. Jadi kita hanya guna aja. Jadi kita ambil, dan itulah penyebab, so the economy is not that strength. Jadi, dan yang terakhir, biasanya penjajah datang dia bawa model dia. Model dia sendiri yang mereka paksa supaya kononnya their model is the best. So when these colonials came, they want to implement their model and saying that their model is the best. So we need to follow them. Like I always quoted when I studied law in UIA, the first thing that we learned is that when the British came, they said we don't have any law. They said the locals have no law, so you need to learn from us. So we have our English law. So the law, they call it lex loci, the law of the land. There's no law of the land.
No, this is because they cannot recognize Sami'na wa Ta'na.
Yeah.
They said you should have Sami'na wa Ta'na, then you have law. You have Sami'na wa Ta'na, you know law.
Yeah.
This is the principle.
So this also the one that been taught to us. So for us, when we explore more, actually we already have this hukum kanun Melaka, the Malacca canon, which is Syariah law, and undang-undang laut Melaka, the maritime law of Melaka, also the Islamic Syariah law. So but they never admit this. So this is why they always being like saying that, oh, the Western model is the best, so you need to follow. And what is happening now, that to me personally is there's no what we call it there's no problem of looking at them or learn from them, but then not following blindly whatever that they say. So because there are something which is good, the same like the past civilization when Muslim also learn from the civilization of the Greek and also the Roman, but then they align that towards the sami'na wa ata'na. These the things that we may apa orang kata mungkin terlepas pandang. Kadang bila kita belajar, especially when we learn through the system which is secular, we will always saying that
Because the world is acceleration, very fast changing. now. So I see my personal perspective that Western culture which, like any civilization, is have two wings. One moral wing, one technical wing. Moral wing, they finish it worldwide. Nobody can recognize their moral or value system.
Yeah.
Now the balance is technical wing is slowly lost for China. So they found themselves now in serious existent problem. They see themselves to be or not to be now. Like in the last moment of life when Ruh reached it. So they know that nobody trusts their moral value and they know the technology is stolen from them. So like birds knowing. So they are in collapse season.
Ya. So itulah yang menjawab tadi kata yang hari tu kan. Maknanya yang di sebelah Europe memang sekarang sebenarnya sedang jatuh dan Timur yang sedang bangkit lah. Dan itulah saya rasa itu saja perkongsian kita hari ini ya. Sambil-sambil tu kalau kita nak berbual boleh. Sebab hari ni kita ada orang yang mempunyai ilmu yang banyak ni. Jadi mungkin kita boleh bertanya yang lain. So saya sudahilah dengan perbincangan kita hari ini dengan wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih. Very good.
Okey, sama-sama. Regarding this issue of hang tuah.
Banyak ilmu ni.
Mana? Sama bagus.
Tinggal